The Little Soul. Once upon a time, in the heavens far up high, lived a little soul whose light shone brighter than all the stars in the evening sky. The little soul was a rather special one, as he was full of joy, faith, kindness, love, compassion, truth, and understanding. He would often sit on the clouds and look down towards the earth and its inhabitants, and grieve for them, wishing that he could somehow spread his light to the darkness below. One day his wish was fulfilled, and he was taken by an angel and placed in a mother's womb. But the darkness of the world had other plans, for it didn't want the little soul's light to spread over the earth. So, on the day the little soul was to be born, it took the soul's cord and wrapped it around his fragile little neck. But an angel was there, and kept the soul alive long enough until he could be delivered safely. However, a part of him, understanding, was lost. He would see how things changed around him, but could never understand why. So the little babe grew a bit more until the darkness again decided to try his hand at ending the little soul's light. This time he darkened the heart of a bear and sent him to the soul. The little soul, still being full of kindness and joy, but without understanding, welcomed the bear. But the bear knocked him over and sat down on the little soul, forcing all the air out of his lungs. This felt like death to the little boy, as his lungs had suffered terribly from the darkness's first attempt. He fell down, gasping for breath, not knowing if he would live. But the angel was there and shouted at the bear, his voice booming like thunder. This scared the bear, and so he ran away, and with that the little soul lost his joy. Without it, the little soul started to withdraw from the world, which he wanted to help so much. In time the soul grew a bit more, and the darkness tried its hand again more directly. The little soul had by now become quite fond of dogs, and one in particular had become his friend. But one day his friend got really angry and attacked the little soul, his jaws closing around the little one's neck. Again the angel stepped in and made lightning flash through the sky. This scared the wolf off just in time, for the little soul had but a few moments of life left in him. The teeth marks remained on his neck for quite some days, and as it started dissipating, so did his kindness. But the little soul fought on, determined to succeed, and thus grew a bit more in years. He had made friends, was doing well in general, and was, for all intents and purposes, happy. And this happiness made his light shine, something the darkness did not like at all. So the darkness decided to try a more indirect approach. You see, the little soul had become rather fond of a little girl he liked, and she would come and visit him frequently, for they were kindred spirits, both soft and gentle in heart, and would sympathize about the wiles of the world. Until, one day, she didn't. The little soul grew concerned, and after searching around, he eventually found her. But she was not the little girl he knew any more. She had changed, and suddenly wanted no more to do with him, and so his compassion left him. The little soul, having lost so many a virtue, still had enough to shine his light, and so he did as best he could. But the darkness saw it, and decided to take away that which meant the most to the little soul, his family. This one action killed off the little soul's love, but he still had hope and truth, which kept his light shining. The little boy had had enough of the world, and all its darkness and evil, so he started visiting the sea every day, finding solace in the sound and wind, and in the smell of the ocean's water. It was there one day that he found a little mermaid on the sand. She had gotten caught in the nets of the world, and so had become entangled in all the lies and broken promises it had offered. But the little soul's truth guided him, and so he slowly and patiently cut all the lines free, while the little mermaid watched warily, afraid of what he might do to her. But she saw the light that was in him, and little remnants of what was once there, a glimmer of joy, compassion, understanding, kindness, and love. And so she followed her heart and trusted in him. After he had carefully cut the lines loose, the little soul stayed with the mermaid for quite a while, as she was still weak from struggling against the world's nets. He took care of her and nursed her until her light had grown strong enough and she could swim back home. But the two had found comfort in each other and rather quickly grew close. Since the little soul couldn't go into the sea, the mermaid would come onto the beach ever so often, and there they would stare up at the moon and stars at night, sharing tales of what had happened on the land in the deep. There were conflicts and wars all around them, but they didn't care for it, as they had found happiness in each other. The little soul had grown quite attached to the mermaid, and she to him, and with it the soul's love was rekindled, which started strengthening his light again. Together they shone so greatly that the darkness grew scared, and decided that something finally had to be done. One night he visited the little mermaid while she was asleep, and secretly took her beautiful heart that was beating for the soul, and placed his shadow over it, one that hid all the love, joy, and trust she had. And with that, all the feelings that the little mermaid had were gone, obscured in the darkness. And without those feelings, she forgot about the little soul. The little soul would go to the beach and call to the mermaid, but she wouldn't respond. He tried sending messages in bottles, but these would also just float off into the sunset. Then the little soul tried singing to the sea, hoping the waves would carry his words and feelings to her, but the words fell silently on an empty heart. The little soul thus started to lose all the virtues he still had, as well as the little bit that had returned. All had now gone, except for faith. So the little soul did the only thing he could still do. He started praying. He prayed day and night, louder and louder, harder and harder, and this was enough to let his light shine brighter than ever before. An angel heard his prayers and drew right up to the little soul. It saw the seeds of all the virtues that were there, for virtues are never truly lost, and it saw the potential in him. It laid its hand on his shoulder and covered him with its wings, and with that all the virtues he had once lost returned in an instant. His light immediately shone so brightly that it decimated the darkness and all it had touched, and with it cleansed all the hearts that had been obscured.